Hi everyone, I'm Jacy from Craft Life, and I'm here today to teach you how to make a Loom phone case with a camera hole and a charger hole. I've had so many requests to do this tutorial, and your phone may not be the same size as my phone, so you'll need to figure out where to put your camera hole and your charger hole. But I know my design fits the iPod 5 and the iPhone 5. The supplies you will need are your Loom, rubber bands, today I'm using teal and gray, your Loom hook or crochet hook, and you will need to make a basic phone case just as a reference to put your camera hole and your charger hole. So please get your supplies and get ready for step 1. This is step 1. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that the basic phone case is not a need. It is very optional, and it only comes in handy if you do not have an iPod 5 or an iPhone 5. And you would only need this to count your rows to see where you would put your camera hole and your charger hole. So it is very optional. Now we're going to take out our middle row, put this to the side. Now turn your loom around, pull out your right side and turn it around so that the arrow is pointing towards you. Now press these down and take out your middle row, or your middle blue piece. So now our left side is pointing away from us and our right side is pointing towards us, and we have a big center. Now turn your loom and we're going to start making X's. So we're going to start on this peg and make X's all the way down. Now you should have 5 pegs with X's on them. We're going to skip this peg entirely and go to our next pegs. So make an X from here to here, here to here, and continue this. And you should have 5 pegs with X's on this side too. Now we're going to lay X's up and down on all of these except for these 2 pegs. This is our charger hole. Now lay X's from here to here and all the way down. And yes, we will be putting X's on these 2 pegs and these 2 pegs. And keep going. Now push these down and our X's become our bottom row. Now we're going to turn our loom around and we're going to make our top row. So place rubber bands and we're going to go all the way around. And this is our top row. Now turn the side and come back. Now, make sure your bottom row is pushed down And I'm going to start on this side. And what you're going to do is take your bottom loops over the top. So on this peg, there are 2 loops, and you're just going to grab them over the top and push these down. Now, on this peg, there are 3 loops. You're just going to grab them, pull them over the top, and 3 loops, pull them over the top. Next 3 loops, over the top. Next 3 loops, over the top. And don't do anything on these pegs. Next 3 loops, over the top. Oh, those were 2 loops, by the way. Next 3 loops, over the top. Next 3 loops, over the top. Next 3 loops, over the top. And these are 2 loops, over the top. Turn your loom around. Take these 2 loops. 3 loops. 3 loops. And keep going. 3 loops. 2 loops. Skip these. 2 loops. And 3 loops. 3 loops. 3 loops and 2 loops. Now you can push these down, and now this row becomes our bottom row, and we're going to lay our top row. So beginning on this peg, we're going to go all the way around again. And come back. Now, we're going to take our bottom row over the top on all of these. So, there are 2 loops on every peg, and you're just going to grab your bottom 2 over the top, take your bottom 2 over the top, and continue this. Push these down and turn your loom around. Take your bottom 2 over the top on the rest of these. Now, push these down, and this row becomes your bottom row. And you're going to do 3 more rows of laying your rubber bands in a clockwise rotation and bringing your bottom loops over the top in a counterclockwise rotation. And then keep pushing your rubber bands down. And you're going to do this for 3 more rows. And I'll be right back. This is what mine looks like after I've done 3 more rows. And as you can see, you can count 5 thick rubber bands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you should be able to count 5 thick rubber bands too. Now I'm ready to start my sides. So you're going to turn your loom around so that your right side is pointing towards you. And you're going to start on your 3rd peg. So 1, 2, 3. And you're going to stick your hook in, pull back your top rubber band, and grab your bottom rubber band through the top, and onto the peg in front of it. Now, you can either separate it with your nail and grab your bottom rubber band over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And I find that's really easy. So just grab your bottom rubber band over the top and onto the peg in front of it. Or you can pull back these rubber bands and grab your bottom rubber band over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And keep going. Grab your bottom rubber band and grab your bottom rubber band. And you're going to do this until you have 3 pegs on this side. So now, count 3, go to your next one, and you can start taking these off. But make sure you have hooked it correctly, or else it will not come out right. And you should be able to count 3 pegs on each side. Now, I'm going to switch colors. And I'm going to go around in a clockwise rotation. So you're just going to lay your rubber bands all the way around. Except for these empty pegs. Now come around the side and come down. And stop on your 3rd peg. Now I'm going to take my bottom row over the top. So on this peg I have 3 rubber bands. I'm going to bring those over the top. Now I have 2 rubber bands. Bring them over the top. 2 more rubber bands over the top. I'm going to turn my loom around, grab these 2 over the top, grab these 2 over the top, grab these 2 over the top, push these down and grab your next 2 over the top and keep going. And grab your 1 over the top. Now push these down, and this becomes our bottom row. And now we want to lay a top row again, so keep going all the way around. And keep going. Now turn to the side and come back to your 3rd peg. Now we're going to grab our bottom row over the top on all of these. So grab your 1 rubber band over the top, your 2 rubber bands over the top, your 2 rubber bands over the top, and the rest of these will be 2 rubber bands, and you're just going to take them over the top. So 2 rubber bands over the top, and keep going. You might want to push your rubber bands down as you go. I just find it's very easy to do that. And remember, you're only grabbing your bottom 2 each time. And on this peg, you only have 1, so you're going to take that over the top. Now, push this row down, and this becomes your bottom row. Now, we just did 2 rows together, And you're going to do 10 more rows so that you have 12 in total, and your 13th row will be on your loom. And the way I like to count these is you can either count the side rubber bands, like every single chain, so you can count these rubber bands, or you can count your thick rubber bands. And to make it even easier, you can use one color at a time for every row, and you can just count every color. But those are some ways you can count your rows. So do 10 more rows, and I'll be right back. I just wanted to make sure you know how to make your next 10 rows. And to do this, you're going to lay your rubber bands in a clockwise rotation, but only go from here to here. So go around to here. Do not go on your empty pegs. And once you do that, you're going to take your bottom row over the top on every single one of them. And this peg and this peg will have one rubber band, and the rest will have 2 rubber bands. And then after you take your bottom row over the top, push them down, and that will become your bottom row. And then you'll have to add another top row and continue that rotation. So please finish your 10 rows, and I'll be right back. This is what mine looks like after I've done 10 more rows, and now I have 12 rows in total. Now, what I want to do is turn my loom like I had it before, and this time I'm going to start on this peg and go all the way around. So, go all the way around your loom. Even your empty pegs. And come back. Now I'm going to take my bottom row over the top for all of these. So just take these 2 over the top, these 2 over the top, and take the rest of them all the way down. There are 2 loops on each peg that you are taking over all the way down. Now push these down, turn your loom around, and you're going to take these 2 over the top, take these 2 over the top, and this one over the top. Now skip all of these, take this one over the top, and these 2 over the top, and these 2 over the top. Now push all of these down, including these. And now we want to add this. So to do that, we have to hook. We're going to start on our 3rd peg, grab our bottom loop over the top. And this is very simple. You're just going to grab that rubber band on each peg over the top. And go back to your 3rd peg. Now push these down, and we're going to do another row. So you can go around this way in a clockwise rotation. And keep going all the way around. And come back. Now, you are going to grab your bottom loops over the top and take our bottom row over the top. So all of these have 2. So 2, 2, but this one has 1. We're just going to grab this one over the top. And now we're just going to grab these 2 over the top, these 2 over the top, our next 2 over the top, your next 2 over the top. Make sure you push down your rows. Take your next 2 over the top and continue this. Take your 2 over the top, your 2 over the top, and keep going. And push these down. Now, you're going to take your phone, and if you have an iPhone 5 or an iPod 5, this is what you will do. You can do the steps that I'm going to show you if you do not have an iPod 5 or an iPhone 5. So, you want to find your camera hole, which is usually on this side, and you want to just open up these loops and look for it. Once you find it, you're going to go down to these, the sides, and you're just going to put your thumb on where your hole is. So now, you're going to count across on these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know mine is on the 5th peg from the 3rd. So when I did my sides, I started on the 3rd and went around. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to leave it open for 3 pegs. So you're going to take wherever your hole is. So let's say yours is on the 6th, then you're going to go on these 3. So I'm going to do 5, 6, and 7 for mine. And if you have an iPod 5 or an iPhone 5, this is what you're going to do. So on this peg, you're just going to count 1 to your 5th. You're going to take your bottom loop over the top and onto the peg in front of it. Now take your bottom loop over the top. Sorry, mine are stuck together. Let me get this. Over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And now you can just remove these. Just like that. Now we're going to go around without going over these 2 empty pegs. So you're going to go around your loom in a clockwise rotation, and you're just going to do this 1 time, and then you're going to cover these. And come back. Onto this peg, and now you have 2 empty pegs. And remember, if you removed yours off the 6 and 7, this is the 2 empty pegs you would leave. So now you're going to take your bottom loops over the top for all of these. So this peg has 3, and the rest of them have 2. So continue this all the way around. And the rest of these have 2. And this one has 3. And our last one has 2. Now we have made our camera hole, but we're not finished yet. We need to go all the way around on our next row. So you're going to lay your rubber bands all the way around on this row. And we're going to cover our empty pegs. Now, you're going to take your bottom loops over the top for all of these. This one had 1, and the rest are going to have 2. And if these steps were too confusing for you, I just wanted to let you know that you're going to do two rows all the way around in the beginning. Then we're going to stop for the camera hole, and then you do 2 more all the way around. And then you do the end, just in case these steps were too confusing for you. And now we're going to hook these 2. So you need to take this loop, since it's on the top, you need to transfer it to the bottom, put it on the bottom, and put this loop back on. Now what you want to do is grab your bottom loop over the top and onto the peg in front of it, grab your bottom loop, and your bottom loop. Now, you're going to do 1 more row by yourself. Go all the way around, bring your bottom loops over the top, and push them down, and then we're going to end it. After you have done 1 more row, we are ready to do the top. We're going to make X's just like we did in the beginning, but this time we won't have to skip any pegs. So we're going to do X's all the way down. An X there, and an X there. Now we're going to lay X's from peg to peg all the way down. and do your last one. Now turn your loom around, and we're going to take the bottom 2 rubber bands on each peg over the top. So go all the way around, taking the bottom 2 over the top. And you can push these down as you go. Turn it around and do the same thing for this side. Now, you want to get all your pegs ready to get hooked. And to do this, you just want to separate the bottom rubber band from the top ones. So I'm going to separate mine all the way around. And do this for the rest of yours, and I'll be right back. This is what mine looked like after I've separated the bottom from the top rubber bands. And it looks the same thing on the other side. Now I'm ready to hook. So you're going to take your bottom rubber band over the top and onto the peg in front of it. And as you can see, this rubber band hooked this rubber band. So it attached this rubber band. And if I hooked this one over, it wouldn't have attached this rubber band, and my whole phone case would have fallen apart. So I'm going to take my bottom rubber band over the top and make sure it attaches all of the rubber bands behind it. Now take your bottom rubber band over the top, make sure it attaches all of the rubber bands behind it, and continue this. Take your bottom rubber band, and if they move up, then you can just separate it again. Now go to the side, make sure it attaches, and we're going to go all the way down this one. And remember to be very careful when you're hooking, because you do not want to grab the wrong rubber band and then have your whole phone case fall apart. Now, this is what yours should look like. You should have all your rubber bands attached, the ones in front of it, on all of them. Now, once you get back to this one, you're just going to stick your hook in, grab a rubber band, and pull this through. And put it back on, and pull one loop through the other. And now, you can help off all of your rubber bands. And remember, if you did not hook this properly, your phone case may fall apart. And you can just take these off by hand now. Now you can stretch these out to get them used to the top. And with this loop, you can tie it and tuck it in, or you can attach charms to it, or you can even attach a wristlet around it. And you're done. This is what it looks like when it's done. You have your camera hole and your charger hole. And everyone always asks me, how many rubber bands does it take to make a phone case? So I started out with 2 full packs of 600 rubber bands, and this is what they look like now. So I would say I didn't use too many rubber bands, so you would be safe with at least 500 rubber bands. And if you had trouble making this phone case, please check out my other YouTube videos. I have a revised basic phone case, and I go much slower, but I do not show you how to add a camera hole and a charger hole. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you make some, I'd love to see them. My Instagram is CraftLifeUSA, so please tag me in a photo. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, pin it on Pinterest, and subscribe right here on YouTube. I hope you're living a craft life just like me. Thanks for watching. Bye!